everybody, and welcome to 40k Fight Club, episode 16. This episode is titled 1 out of 1 Doctors Recommend Sisters, and we're not explaining that for anybody who doesn't get the joke, sorry. I am Innes, I am your host as always. I am joined by Nathan and two familiar and unfamiliar faces. We're joined by Jeremy Atkinson, who is also much better known as Curie on the internet, who is here to fill in for Anthony this week because Anthony is taking some personal time. And we're also joined by Colin, who's going to do some networky stuff. And we're going to let Colin speak
and then leave
to start. And then Colin's going to bail because we don't want him here. We don't appreciate.
Yeah, basically, no one actually wants. I make enough content. Nobody wants me here, and that's
nobody wants Ulthway players. That's the main thing.
Oh, come on now! If I was a Hale player, that doesn't make me more likable. Let's just be clear.
1 out of 1 Doctors does not recommend Ulthway.
So anyway, we're going to mute up. We're going to let Colin talk for a minute.
I'm really enjoying that the doctor in this is plural. That's really great. All right, so we're going to do a thing for Charity Hammer. Now, Charity Hammer is June 23rd to 26th, okay? It's literally like 3 weeks from now, which is mildly terrifying if you're Colin, but should be very exciting if you're everybody else. We've got the whole thing scheduled. It's all getting ready to go. We're going to be doing a podcast in another probably week or so that runs you through the whole agenda from start to finish. But there's a thing that I want your help with. We believe that there's a lot of questions out there in the community that we don't have good answers to. People say, oh, well, people think this. Oh, well, people think that. Help us with that. We've put together a community survey, and we'd like you guys to fill it out. Now, there's a couple things about the survey I want you to know. The first of which is if you fill it out, you'll be put in a drawing just of the people that filled out the survey to win a $200 gift card from our friends at Dark Tower Games. Dark Tower Games is a lot for the community. They want to know the answers to these questions as well. Some of the questions are serious, some of them are not, but nonetheless, we want to see the answers. So if you fill it out, you're in a drawing. Now, the thing I really want you guys to know, it is anonymous. It's going to ask you for your email address, okay? There's going to be a link. You're going to click on it. It's going to ask you for your email address. That's just so we can make sure you aren't filling it out more than once. It will not, frankly put, be part of the data. We will strip the email addresses out when we take the data for analysis. No one's going to know what you said. And I'm telling you that because you answering honestly is important for not only us to get anything out of the survey, but also for us to make hilarious jokes out of the survey. We can't make things the things won't be as funny if it's clear that people didn't answer the survey honestly. So we're going to ask you to answer it honestly. It's about 30 questions. It won't take you very long, certainly under 15 minutes. The link is going to be under this video when we're on YouTube. I'll throw it into the chat live for the people that are already here. And then you'll also be able to get that from our website, our social media, all the other places. So please go click on that, fill that out for us. You could win $200. But it's going to give us the opportunity to talk about such things at Charity Hammer, such as people that have won a lot of tournaments think that this faction is has the most annoying players to play against. People from this part of the world think this part of America is the softest meta. Like, there's going to be a lot of really funny things in there. So please feel that out. Is literally what I was going to say. Please fill that out. 1 out of 1 Doctors does not recommend filling the form. So there you have it. That's what's going on with me. Charity Hammer, June 23rd to 26th. Best in Tabletop YouTube channel is the best place to find all of that. CharityHammer.com also has all that information. Questions from you guys?
And we've also got
the worst faction. Everybody knows.
What?
Everybody knows Eldar are the worst factions players. Everybody hates them.
Well, we're going to find out if that's. I personally am very invested in knowing if that's the case. There's a part of me that thinks it's going to be something like Grey Knights, like some weird thing is going to get like some faction that isn't even heavily represented in the meta typically, like Harlequins is going to get this is the most hated faction. I really want that. So we'll see how that works out. Anywho, I hope you guys have a great show. I'm gonna. I'm sorry. This comment here, I have power. This comment just absolutely murders me dead. I can't handle it. I feel like you shut your mouth, Ennis, is a comment we just need to save and always have ready to bring up.
I just like the fact that was worth highlighting, but we're not like pulling the form up on screen with that power. But
this URL that people can't click on, that's not helpful.
People can't click
but they can at least see it.
Do you guys get handed forms from your work like printed forms that have hyperlinks on them that are blue, because I get that from work and it drives me absolutely crazy. You've given me a piece of paper with a 40-digit URL that's blue and underlined, so I can anyways. Sorry.
No, nobody at my work knows how hyperlinks work. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, guys, I appreciate you all. Have a fantastic show. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Fight Club. We really appreciate it. Bye now.
Bye, Colin.
Bye-bye.
Now, the big question is, if we all drop when Colin goes, fingers crossed? No!
Don't hear.
Hey, it works.
Okay. Someone else has the power now. We don't know who. We'll figure that out as we go.
Oh, no.
Okay. now that real dad, network dad is left, we can start ruining the show.
Well, now it's just Stats Dad, so we can start ruining the show.
Yeah,
so for everybody who
real
joined... Oh, I mean, that's true, but we can check later. Doctors... So somebody asked earlier, just in the chat, Relo6, Jeremy, also known as Curie, but we're going to go with Jeremy for the rest of the show, is here because Anthony is out for some personal time stuff. So we've decided to drag Jeremy into the show to replace Anthony on a temporary basis. And
We'll see if I end up regretting this decision.
He will not regret this decision. Jeremy has now done a face reveal for the internet. We all know who he is. So you can also bully Jeremy for stats anytime you please.
Yeah, this is the real problem. That's what you've created for yourself, is by coming onto the internet, and now everybody can ask you for stats.
I mean, everyone already pesters me for rules questions, so stats, I'll just add it to the list.
Sure.
Okay, I am going to rerun the intro very temporarily, just for anybody who stepped back into the show, and then we'll get started with that content thing. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of 40k Fight Club. This is 1 out of 1 Doctors Recommend Sisters. We are going to be talking about all of the tournaments and the coverage from the weekend of the 28th and 29th of May, as well as any ancillary games that happened on the Friday or the Monday, as is wont to do with Super Majors. I am Ennis. I am joined by Nathan and Jeremy, better known as Stats Guy and Stats Guy, we're here to talk about you with math, without the child in the room, because Anthony's not here today, which means that we get to actually go into some stuff. So all that event coverage stuff, not that important. Stats, this is the numbers episode. If you like numbers and you've been fed up with all the episodes not having those, they're going to have a lot of those today, because that's the only thing we all have in common. We're going to run with that. I will get the housekeeping out of the way properly, though. You can find us live at YouTube every week at now 11 p.m. UK, because my sleep schedule matters, and I was able to convince my friends to care about me enough to tell me that we were changing it. It wasn't my suggestion. Everyone else, we would like you to sleep, so we're going to move the schedule an hour forward, and I really appreciated that, because I would never have asked. So now live at 11 p.m. UK and 3 p.m. Eastern, and then you can infill the rest.
It's 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And I don't know, like November 23rd, 2047 in Australia.
Yeah, it's like a fortnight away in Australia time.
Yeah, something like that. We are here every week. We are live on YouTube. You can also find us on any place where good podcasts are found, and also you can find us on the YouTube backfeed. You can watch the back episodes. If you'd like to get more of the show, you can stick around for the bonus round on the live stream, or you can become a YouTube subscriber. That is down at the moment, I believe, unfortunately. Colin has been decided to be a robot and is not being permitted to have a YouTube membership option available. So for the time being, that is disabled. But when that is back up and running, you can get more of the show, the bonus round, as well as everything else that the network does there. The last thing we're going to promote is Hot Takedown, which is the 40k community response show, I'm going to say, where
right.
Cliff and a bunch of other wonderful people. Does anybody else know off the top of their head who else was on that? Or am I going to have to look this up very, very cleverly?
I think Anthony, Colin, and John were on that. John Lennon of John.
Anthony, Colin, I know. That does sound about right, but I'm going to go and actually just verify that.
You should, because
we have John Lennon, Danny McDevitt, and
right,
Colin Sherman joining Cliff Thomas, the wonderful Cliff of this show. And they went through some of the community's best and worst takes and evaluated them. And it was really good content and really enjoyed watching it. So you should definitely go and check that out, because everybody involved in it was really, really, really good. And the community is terrible at 40k, and pointing that out makes me laugh. Anyway, as part of the community of Let's Go Be Terrible with 40k, how was this weekend, guys? Did we have a small amount of tournaments? A lot of tournaments?
A lot of tournaments. Far
Yeah.
too many tournaments.
There were 12, 13 tournaments, I think, that was going on. And these are the ones that I track. For anyone who's unaware, I have my own arbitrary level, 25 plus players, 5 plus rounds. I think 12 events ended up meeting that criteria, and of those, 11 of them meet the regular GT criteria.
Yeah, so we're going to try to review 11 events this week, I guess. But I think we're just going to try and do first and second places. So congratulations, Jeremy. You've been roped into the marathon week of this show where we are going to make you read and analyze a bunch of lists with us.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll probably be doing the cut down version. We'll do the first for every tournament, the first and second for everything that's like decently sized, like 40-ish, and then we'll probably do first, second in depth for majors, and then the top 4 for majors, just to shout them out.
And if we get to like the 10th Tyranid list with the same stuff in it, we'll probably get exhausted and be like, and then there was a Tyranid list and we're tired of talking about them.
Yeah, don't expect the high level analysis of why all these Tyranid lists are different. That's just never happening. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's go into the high level stuff then. Talk to me about stats, boys. I know you like this bit. How many games did we have this weekend? That's the first one I want to know.
I mean, that's the easy one to answer.
Exactly. That's why I'm starting you over the softball.
I, of course, say that as I don't have the number in front of me.
I guess I could just sum the
We had
category next
2,000. We had about 2,100 games this weekend.
And how many players is that across?
783.
783 players. That
And
is
yes.
quite a lot of games.
Yeah.
And yes, I looked at every single one of those lists on Friday and Sunday.
It's because you're a champion and because people keep entering their factions wrong.
That's exactly why I have to do this. People, enter your factions correctly, and then I won't be driven to drink by Sunday at 2 p.m.
Yeah. Inevitably, I get a message from Jeremy like halfway through Sunday where he's like, I want to drink. Or he's like, I'm halfway done. And I'm like, but you don't have to do this yet.
I want the numbers to be right.
Jeremy is a kind soul and very, very productive soul as well for doing this data aggregation for us, because there is no good way to do it, and it is all bad ways to do it.
There are worse ways to do it.
Surveys,
but not many.
Hand filled out surveys from people. We could go back to that.
Everybody's lists are in Excel spreadsheets, or
There were actually quite a few lists this weekend that were done in Excel, and I ran into at least 2 that were pictures of, like, phone pictures of Excel screens.
yeah, there was a Knights list that was that last weekend when I was doing the
that was one of the ones I was thinking of.
I was like, oh, this guy has 14. I actually just straight up gave up on figuring out what weapons they had because I didn't know the Knights Codex well enough. I was just like, these are probably those ones, and then I was very wrong. I had to go back and fix my article. So I think these are those ones. No, they were not.
Very early on when I was doing it, before I met and talked to Jeremy about this, when I was doing this by myself, there were several like napkin math, like handwritten lists that I came across where there was people taking a picture of a piece of paper, and then there would be things crossed out on it and like math on the side. And I'd be like, I don't know what any of this is, but I hope that's what you played, because I don't know. I can't read half of this.
If you go back far enough, you can find Reese's Bay Area Open list, which is written on a napkin.
Oh, that's my favorite. You know, I would be okay with the occasional napkin math one, just because it would break up inevitably the endless cavalcade of people who just don't format their lists at all, or just use BCP's most detailed output version, where it has like every single special rule detailed, every single like keyword detailed, and every single thing just in obnoxious amounts of
I have seen one that
information.
was like the HTML format with like the boxes where everything is in, but points omitted.
Yeah.
That one was great. I was like,
Why not?
I can't in any way verify this.
It's why I'm way happier to see like Innis's list where it's the WTC format and it's just like, here's the number of things that it has, and then here's a brief summary of what is all in this list. So please do that.
It does require you to make sure that the secondary information is actually correct.
Hey, look, my no prisoners count was very accurate for the
No, that
previous
was my
version of
no
my list.
prisoners count.
The 25 points of no prisoners. Come on. It's great. I guess we could talk about numbers from this weekend, though, because that's
Let's
really
do
what
that.
people
Let's do that.
are
That's
here
probably
for.
like the point of the show. Yeah.
Is to listen to me usually just read Excel sheets, but
Look,
now we can
what we're
have
gonna do,
Curie. We can
we're
have
gonna say
Jeremy also
that
read Excel sheets.
we're just building up this so Jeremy can feel a little more comfortable. That's what the intro is. It's just about making sure he feels at home. And now we can get started.
By reading Excel sheets, because that is
Exactly.
his native environment, is the Excel sheet.
Don't remind me about my work. Come on, man.
Well, I will just talk about like the top 5 factions, and then I'm gonna let just from this weekend, and then Jeremy can bring up the like longer term data from like the last few weeks, and then we can talk about who's terrible still.
Yeah.
So the best faction of the weekend, to nobody's surprise, is Tyranids, who are at 10.2% of the meta. That's a lot. Not quite as much as what we were seeing with like Custodes and Tau at peak, but it's still a lot from this last weekend. And they're at a 68.8% win rate. So they basically maintained a 65 to 70% win rate, even post nerf, essentially, or post FAQ, where there were nerfs included, mostly to encircle. Then we have Eldari, although that's only 3 players, so I'm just going to skip it. Got Harlequins at 4.8%, who are dead, completely dead, at a 62% win rate. Then you've got pure Craft World Eldar at 8.3% of the meta and a 57.4% win rate. And then Tau at 55.9 and Drukhari at 55 at 9.8% of the meta and 1.8% of the meta, respectively. And then we got Sisters, who are my favorite faction to continuously say they are good and then expect for them to fall precipitously the next week. And yet, so far, they've done well, despite me saying that they're doing okay. And Sisters are at a 54.4% win rate with a 4.2% meta representation from this last weekend. So they're doing all right. Hopefully they don't go down to 30% next week.
Look,
because
Sisters are clearly broken.
Mm-hmm. They deserve at least 5 more nerfs, probably a 10 point increase to Meltas on Paragon Warsuits. And
Repentia should probably just go up.
Repentia should lose their keywords.
Yeah.
No,
all of them, including Sororitas.
Just remove Fly from Seraphim and Seraphim.
Yeah, they don't. Those jetpacks, those wings, totally like the appendix. They don't even do anything. Somebody's going to write me an email about that. And then at the bottom, who do we have at the bottom, actually, from this last week, Jeremy?
I don't have last week showed up. I have like the last month showed up. So let me.
I'll do this last week then. So we've got Astromelatarm still at the bottom at a 36.5% win rate. So 2 buffs does not make a good army, apparently. So we're going to have Astromelatarm still at the bottom, followed by Chaos Demons, and then Necrons, and then Admech, who managed to pull themselves out of the dumpster, at least for this 1 week, to beat out those other factions at a 38.8% win rate.
Let's be honest, they're still in the dumpster.
They are. I mean, they've got a 1.3% meta representation, which puts them basically just ahead of Genestealer, Cult, and Chaos Demons. Oh, and Chaos Space Marines. But Chaos Space Marines only had 9 players, so we're just going to disregard them entirely. And we're going to see that number go up probably in June when World Eaters and then the Chaos Space Marine 9th edition Codex comes out, I imagine. But yeah, guard players. What's going on? 2 buffs. No good.
Guard just, yeah, they just don't have the player base that really wants to play them, right? They're an old book. They don't have any of the new tricks. So you're either a diehard guard player, in which case, like, how is the last 4.5 years not broken you? Or you don't play guard.
I say that
third choice there.
I say that as like I've been looking at picking up a guard army for like my hobby project after Tyranids.
Yeah, but you're not going to play them. You're not psychotic.
I don't know. I was going to play them and make fun tank noises.
I mean, it is fun. I took guard to a team event last month. We wanted to throw people off, catch people off guard, more like.
Did it throw you off?
Yes, it did, actually. I was just like, oh, right, I don't have play in this phase, or that phase, or that phase. I have one phase that I play well, and even then, don't play it very well.
Classic.
And look, if it's not 18 like Lehman Russ or tank chassis just barely squeezed into a deployment zone, is it a guard army?
I wish you could fit 18 in the list now.
Can you
Maybe.
not? I'm actually kind of surprised.
I'm pretty sure the bare bones Lehman Russ is like 150 points.
No
Are you-
way.
Are you saying that a Lehman Russ is costed the same as an Armiger?
Don't go there. Now you're making me
Are
look.
you telling me they're costed the same as a Maliceptor?
No.
Maliceptors are 100.
Sorry, no. A Lehman Russ battle tank costs 130 points.
Oh, well, that's
Is
so
that-
much better.
Is that before weapon options like
Yes, that's
sponsons?
before you put anything on it. So if you give it a demolisher tank and the heavy bolter that you have to take,
Mhm.
it's 150 points.
So basically the same cost as a war dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the same quality as well between those two units and base rules and weapons.
It's got a
and
2-up
movement.
save now.
It's true. It does have a 2-up.
These things are roughly equal to me.
It also is T8, right? That's a lot. A lot. That's a lot of good stuff packed into
It's
us.
something.
That definitely counts for a lot nowadays.
And I remember, if you give it an Executioner Plasma Cannon or Eradicate Nova Cannon, they are free.
Sure.
I'm just going to give it that Eradicator Nova Cannon that nobody ever uses. Or that.
Hey, look, you can make your Lehman Russ's main battle tank weapon heavy D6, 6-2, D3.
Wow, we're really
All right,
just
I think we've
picking
done
on
enough to
guard
guard.
players.
But
Why
it
don't-
all wins on 6s to hit.
That's true. Auto wounds on the
At
massive.
AP2, at AP1 if you're into Armor of Contempt.
Well, then run the Vanquisher Battle Cannon. It's like a rail cannon, but it's not good.
One shot.
You just need one shot.
One shot, one
guard.
opportunity, and then a second shot and a second opportunity because it double taps, obviously.
Oh no. Poor guard. Please sell me your tanks for cheap is basically what I'm saying so that I can buy a guard army. Thank you.
Alex Tau says, so the same as a Void Weaver. No, Void Weavers are cheaper because they don't have to buy a heavy bolter.
It's true.
And Void Weavers don't have to pay for their guns.
Yeah, they're only 130. Lehman Russ is 145. Minimum.
So let's talk about the last month's stats, Jeremy.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of May, since that's more or less when Tyranids started to become into play. There were a couple weird events that used the leak book before then, but we ignore them. Surprise, surprise. The top 3 factions that we're looking at right now are Tyranids with a 68.1% win rate over the last 5 weeks, Harlequins with a 64.6% win rate, but of course they're unplayable.
And dead, yes.
Absolutely dead.
Absolutely dead. Don't
They're not
sell your
ruin
army.
them. Just don't play Harlequins. It's fine.
Yeah. And then Asuryani, Craftworlds at 56.1%. And squeezed in between there, but numbers are way too low to really care, is Eldari at 57.7%, which is, soup of some sort.
Usually like Hail of Doom, like strapped on to Drukhari or something like that, or some kind of Sadith strapped
It's
onto
usu-
Drukhari.
Yeah, it's usually Hail of Doom and Dark, or Prophets of Flesh and Dark is what I've seen a lot of over the last while. Basically, that Harlequin patrol slapped on to something else that's good.
And then it's Sisters at 5th place.
At 55.1%. So Sisters, despite Nathan's best efforts, are good right now.
I know, right? Every time I say them, I expect them to cut like 90% of their win rate off.
Yeah.
In
And
order
then
for
we
me to also buy a cheap Sisters army so that I can do that, guys. I would really like you to lose so I can buy cheap armies on the secondhand market from people who panic because I say numbers on a show.
Why did you get into Tyranids then?
Because I like bugs and it's a terrible thing.
I like big bugs and I cannot lie.
That's the title for next week's episode.
I think we've already used that one.
But Curie, who's our middle of the pack from like
So
the last
middle
month?
of the pack, interestingly enough, is so we're basically looking at the ones right below there. Our 2 other completely unplayable factions are Tau and Custodes at 52.5 and 51.6 respectively. So those
Is that
are
win rate? Is that the middle win rate, like in terms of closest to
That's-
50%? Or the middle
that's-
win rate in terms of the middlest faction, like the medium?
so the middlest faction would be Chaos Knights right now.
which
at
is
48.9%. So the middle is actually slowly trending back towards that 50%, but there's more.
It'll never be 50% because
No, it
draws are in there, so you can't ever. The average win rate is closer to like 49.5%, right? So
yeah, and
So, yeah.
so we have a lot of factions that are actually in the 47 to 53 range, which is kind of our like sweet spot that we always hope things are at. In fact, if I look at it right now, we've got 9 factions that are in that 47 to 53 range.
it's a good place
Out
to be.
of how many factions do we actually have? 24.
It's actually a good percentage of our factions actually going that way.
Yeah, so there are some that still need to be brought up, and there are some that still need to be brought down. But slowly but surely, 9th is kind of trending a little bit more towards that, I guess, ideal balanced meta.
Yeah, it
Somewhat.
seems like that way. I think we talked about it a little bit on Discord, just the two of us, where I was showing you some real, like, sloppily assembled bar graphs of, like, how things are shifting.
Yeah.
And it appears that the factions are starting to shift towards the middle rather than being, like, much shallower across with peaks on both ends. It's actually starting to shift towards the middle for a distribution of how win rates are looking. Slowly and surely, but very slowly.
Yeah. We just need to get Death Guard and AdMech off life support, and then we can start talking about things.
And Guard. But Guard are going to have a new codex eventually.
Guard don't
right?
have a codex yet, so we have that excuse for them. Once they get their codex and they're still sitting at the bottom of the pile, then we can talk about what needs to be done for them.
Yeah, we have Chaos Demons, Guard, and Chaos Space Marines essentially are the 3 outstanding factions as of now. Is that it?
And then essentially World Eaters after that, because we know they're not in the Chaos Space Marines book and they're getting their rules in a White Dwarf. But they'll have rules. They'll have their 2 wounds.
Yep. And then we'll get Legions of Votan at some point as well.
Which
so we'll
we have no idea what they'll look like.
So we'll have a whole new faction to data track.
I hope it's just a pain in the backside that like every team at WTC has to randomly get on super short notice. I think that would be like my favorite thing, just to see the absolute garbage. Like I borrowed my friend's Caradron army. That's what I want from Fleets of Votan.
I actually would not be surprised if we saw like fully kit bashed or just fully painted like AOS standard Caradron Overlords armies just ported wholesale over, just slapped onto new bases to fit the new
Not even new bases
or whatever it is.
It's straight up Caradron armies, top hats and everything.
I'll use the little base clips that you use for adjusting base sizes.
Well, God, what's the name of the company that makes those? They're going to make a killing on the new base clips for those.
It is kind of hilarious that there have been a few new factions for 40k and for 40k and OS, and 2 of them are steampunk dwarves.
Dan Cowden in chat actually makes a funny point. If you take out elves, nids, and tau out of the tableau, that's the meta chart that Cliff made and published online that you can find links to in our previous episode or also in other places. We can create a link and put it in chat later. Then the rest of the armies into themselves are really healthy. So basically, if you take out all of the broken factions, the meta looks okay.
Yeah, if you take out Drakari, Harlequins, Asuryani, Nids, and Tau, so 40%, 50% of the meta, the game looks really good. Yeah.
When you take out the top broken third of the meta looks great. It's true.
Yeah, if you take Rock out of the game, Scissors and Paper's win rate is completely balanced.
And yeah, that's also where you can. What don't you know?
I was just gonna say it's only 34% of the meta, not 40%.
Oh, I'm sorry, I rounded up. I rounded up to the nearest funny number. Okay.
This is usually what I just get in chat delivered to me, actually, just via voice. Now on the episode, is Curie just popping into chat and be like, "That's actually just 34%, Nathan." Which is good because otherwise, if I don't get corrected, I'm just full of it.
I think when we were first starting out, the most amusing was we had a much worse organization system, and I would send you a sheet, and you weren't sure if you were looking at the most recent one until about 15 minutes into the episode, at which point you realized, nope, that was last week.
That was my favorite though, is because I think people don't realize that this started like really because I think Curie realized that I was drowning a little bit in trying to make the stats work every week, and was like, he sent me a message that was basically like, how do you do this? And I was like, well,
Badly.
I go into every single week and then I enter these numbers by hand into a spreadsheet. And I think Jeremy was like, what are you doing? And he was like, is there not a better way? Are there no Excel outputs or anything? I'm like, I don't know of any Excel outputs anywhere on this. And the last time I tried to copy and paste from this, it made my Excel scream in pain. So
I've spent the better part of the last, 4 months now?
Yeah,
figuring out the best way to
months.
do this. And yeah, eventually maybe BCP will listen to us and just give us an Excel output. And that'd be lovely. BCP, if you're listening, reach out, please. But yeah, and it turned into quite the fun adventure because I've now got it down where I can put an event into from BCP in about 2 minutes.
Oh,
But
that's
the
great.
thing that takes forever is verifying people's factions because people don't
Just
put in
stop
the right
doing it.
faction.
Just trust them.
I can't trust people.
I know you can, but that's your problem.
Every
I know
single
it's my problem.
The thing that needs to be checked the most is everybody puts in the generic faction, which is Adeptus Sororitas, is like their faction in a lot of places when it's wrong. Like,
that's why I always change mine to like Titanicus or Gorn Demonkin.
You're part of the problem, Innes, and that's okay.
Just before list submission, I always change afterwards.
Is that because somebody threatened a yellow card, or just because you feel a great shame upon
No,
you
it's
and
just
upon
because
your household?
people. It's great when you're one of the people look at and they're like, "What is he taking to the tournament?" You don't want them to know straight away. Nowadays it's easy. I'm playing Tyranids, but back in the before times when it was like maybe a debate, it was good to throw people off.
I see.
Or you'd upload a list and was like, "Haha, you'll see this on list submission."
Would the gnarliest CSV work? Potentially. It depends on what's in it and how well I can work with it. But even a semi-automatic method of dealing with it would help. Yeah, like I said, the biggest data time drain right now is checking factions. If I didn't check factions, I could have the weekend stats done in about half an hour.
Mm-hmm. And part of that, I think, is just that BCP outputs everything as images, right? So you actually have to hand check that factions are correct because all the lists as submitted are basically images instead of text files.
They are text files, but they're within an embedded frame. So without going into the weeds too much, I did try to write a scraping program. So BCP, I'm sorry if I may have put a bit of load on your server one day, to go in and pull lists out. But the next step of that, if I had gotten that to work, would be to use some form of regular expressions to determine to identify and figure out detachments and what's in the detachment and all of that. I know people have done this, so I just need to reach out to other people in the community. But the first step would be to be able to actually get that data directly from BCP. If we could do that, things would be much faster.
I think the other thing that would be useful is if BCP forced you to select a faction instead of making a generic faction immediately selectable. So like one of the challenges is that Sisters is a default choice. So if you don't even pick a faction, it will just default to Sisters. And instead that field should be blank and it should require you to scroll through and pick a faction.
It should probably, yeah. But it's also way easier this way and it doesn't cause me any problems. So
yeah, and then the other thing is of course the bane of my existence is the fact that every single sub faction is in there and people will just randomly grab them. Mm-hmm. So I end up having a list of Highfleet, Kraken, Behemoth, Jormungandr, and where I have to do a find and replace all to set them back to Tyranids.
So do you?
Yep.
It always bugs me as well when people were like, "I am playing Highfleet Leviathan." I'm playing Tyranids. Shut up.
Yep. Yeah. It would honestly have been so much easier before if people couldn't even select their subfaction, because I barely trust you all to select your faction.
Correct.
I actually got that one wrong when I was doing the Goonhammer Competitive Innovations last week because I just took that at face value. Someone had picked Ulthway and they weren't playing Ulthway. I was like, why would you pick Ulthway if you're playing Ale of Doom?
Because I was in Art of War's Discord actually, and I saw somebody talking about it, and I was like, well, if you'd entered it correctly, you would not need to worry about it being wrong in the Competitive Innovations article.
Exactly. So what we're really saying here, guys, is it's your fault.
Yeah, it's actually really user error, and I'm not gonna mince words about it. You all need to do better, community.
We've
Do better.
unfortunately, as a podcast, not figured out how to solve user error yet, and we all wouldn't be doing this if we had.
You community are the reason that we have warning labels on things like "Do not drink this acid."
Speaking of not drinking acid, let's talk about the tournament results for this week.
All right.
Where do we want to start, Ines?
Let's just start at the top, and we'll do the three big ones, 3 majors this week that were like 90 plus players.
There were 4 majors, but yeah, 3 that had 90 or more players.
Cool. We'll do the 4 majors. We'll do them in detail, and then we can see how we're doing for time, and we can go through the rest at a lightning pace.
Do we want to start with Frontline Gaming's event then, and start with the Bay Area
Let's
Open?
start with Bay Area Open. Go for it. Does somebody have the list for Bay Area Open?
I actually have it open.
There you go. Nathan is starting today.
So our top factions for this weekend were Jesse Sell, who won the event with Adeptus Sororitas. That's right. Sisters of Battle. 1 out of 1 doctor recommended, and Jesse Sell would agree. Michael Costello was in second with Hive Fleet Hydra, or Hydra. I don't know. It's Hyrda. And then Stephen
Hydra
Box,
in the book.
yeah, it's Herda in this this listing here for BCP. And then Stephen Box in third place with Blood Angels, which I think is quite interesting and surprising. Paul Mckelvey in fourth place with Tau Empire, and then in fifth place was Tyler Nutt with Tyranids, without any strange sub-factions.
Sorry, we said we were doing top 4, but you went all the way to top 5 just for that guy's surname, right?
I actually forgot we were doing just top 4 for a second there. So we'll start with Jesse Sell's list. Jesse's, God damn it, Ines.
You went there.
How did you're the one who brought it
went
up?
to fit.
Fine, Ines. Fine, Ines. Blame me for it. So you have an Order of Bloody Rose. Canoness with Blessed Blade, the Inferno Pistol, the Blade of Saint Eleanor, and Word of the Emperor. I actually don't know what Blade of Saint Eleanor is, but I assume it's a big, smashy upgrade of the Blessed
Punchy
Blade.
relic.
And then Word of the Emperor is the one where you can turn off invulnerable saves.
Yeah,
once.
fight last and turn off invols.
Thank you.
Once
Celestine-
the fight last is always.
And then Morvenval as the Warlord, which makes sense. Celestine and Morvenval, I think, are just staples of Sisters of Battle's list at this point. You might as well just start 480 points down, essentially, and kind of move from there. 3 MSU Battle Sister squads with nothing special about them and no upgrades. A Dogmata with Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, Verse of the Holy Piety, and then the Sigil Ecclesiasticus.
Extra lightnings.
Thank you. And then Paragon War Suits, which I think is actually kind of neat. You got 2 Meltas with Warblades, and then 1 Melta as a Sister Superior with a Warblade. 1 unit of 5 Sisters Repentia, 1 10-man Sisters Repentia, a Seraphim squad with 2 with Hand Flamers, and then 2 Zephyrim squads, a unit of Mortifiers, and then a Retributor squad full of Meltas, and then a Rhino. And the Mortifier has an Anchorite and 1 extra, essentially. So the Anchorite has the bonus to their save.
And Mortifiers, notably, unlike Penitentials, do benefit from Armor Contempt because they have the Sororitas keyword.
Yep.
So that Anchorite's actually fairly tanky with a 3-up save, ignoring a point of AP.
Yeah, and the 5-up Feel No Pain as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually quite durable. I actually like this list a lot. I actually like Paragon War Suits. I actually think we should probably see more of them, but a 3-mana Paragon is maybe a 2 squads Paragons is probably the right number, because Paragons are more durable now that they have Armor of Contempt as well.
Yeah, with Armor of Contempt, Vol having relevant things to buff is quite nice. Because they can actually stand places and do things now, which they couldn't really before. It's got good secondary options in the form of 2 6-man Seraphim and a 6-man Zephyrim squad. You've got, the standard, all the Flamers from the Retributors, or all the metal from the Retributors, and then Battle Sisters hold down the backfield, and then your secondary plan with in the form of To the Last from Celestine, Vol, and Paragons when your opponent can't pressure you, or Leap of Faith when they can. Leap of Faith got opened up a lot with the Miracle Dice changes, getting 1 at the start of each turn now instead of each battle round. Definitely means that you don't have to run things like the the Miracle Dice only your Warlord can use, and stuff like that. That just didn't kind of get over the line and were really janky. Now you can just play the list as normal without having to go super into the tank. There's also noticeably a Hospitaller here who can do things like bring back those Retributors. If you've got one left alive, you could just suddenly have a bunch of Meltas pop up out of nowhere and gib some stuff from your opponent, which is really helpful.
It's always nice when you can bring a staff back to life, especially those high-value units.
Well,
and then
Sisters also get D3 models back instead of 1, like Space Marines do, which is super, super nice.
Then I guess I'll very briefly touch on Michael Costello's list, which is
this is the Tyranids list that we have to talk about. It's the only interesting Tyranids list of the weekend.
This one is High Fleet Herda or Hydra in non-misspelled.
If you can tell me what Hydra does off the top of your head,
I can't actually. Oh God,
Jeremy?
I actually have
off the
no
top,
idea.
not off of. It's +1 to hit against units you outnumber, with vehicles and monsters counting as 5 models for the purpose of that on both sides. So monsters get +1 to hit against single models and 1 to 4, and then big squads get +1 to hit. And then the stratagem is 1 CP, reroll wounds against squads you outnumber, but vehicles and monsters don't have a rider on that one. So you just reroll wounds with pretty much everything except single models.
That's nice. That's actually pretty good with a lot of stuff.
It's not half bad. And
So
then the other half of the chapter tactic is +1 movement and +3 to pilot consolidation, and that's the one you can swap out.
Oh, that's nice. What are their tables then?
I believe they get lurk and hunt.
Okay, so they don't get feed, which I think is what people consider to be the best.
Yeah,
one,
they don't get the
generally
one that
speaking.
has the pre-game move, I think. Give me 1 second, I'll quickly have a
I
check.
think that is Lurker Hunt that has the pregame move for endless multitude units.
Yeah, this is not something that I
You can look that up while I go through the list real quick.
I am going to do
Hydra
that.
has feed and hunt.
Feed and hunt, so it doesn't get lurk as well. It's another one of the Behemoth and the Leviathan Kraken set that doesn't get the cool one.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this guy brought a Turbicon, which makes sense when you read the rest of this list. The Turbicon has the Maw Claws of Thyrax and then Adaptive Biology, which is the 5-up Feel No Pain. Maw Claws are the Lightning Claws relic that you get more attacks as you murder things.
Could you tell us what weapon it has? Does it have Crushing Claws or Scything Talons?
Massive Scything Talons.
Okay, so that thing is kicking out 10 attacks at -3/2 damage with reroll wounds. Strength 7. It's not half bad. Or in a pinch, you can go for 5 attacks at strength 10 -4 2d3 damage.
And then we've got the then we got the Swarmlord with Catalyst Paroxysm and Psychic Scream, which I assume, or Psychic Shriek actually is.
You roll dice for the number. It's this Hydra power. You roll dice for the number of
power.
models you have within 3 of the enemy, and you get to do like a cap of 6 more, which is like a big smite if you have a lot of stuff near them.
And then kind of the interesting part, which makes sense with the Turbicon, you've got a 10 mana Gargoyles, 3 15-mans of Hormagaunts, and then a 20-man of Termagaunts with Flesh Wars, and then a 3-man of Warriors with Death Spitters, Dual Bone Swords, and Flesh Hooks. Which makes sense in this list because the Turbicon can bring back models, and then the Turbicon can spawn models. And then you have I assume that 20-man of Termagaunts is essentially meant to just stand near the Turbicon and provide it with effectively bodyguard. And then we have, in Elites, we've got Death Leaper, unit of Gene Stealers, which is something I never thought I'd see ever again in a pure Tyranids list. Venomthropes, Zoanthropes, Parasited Mortrex with Gestation Sac, and Alien Cunning, which seems like the pretty standard setup. And then a triplet of Screamer Killers, all with Adrenal Glands, and then one with Synaptic Enhancement.
So this is where I asked the question: what's the Turbicon Synaptic link?
What is the Turbicon? Is that the one that's
+2 movement?
Oh, I see.
So you get +2 movement from that. You get +1 movement from being Hydra, which means on turn 1, if you pop it, everything in this list is +3 movement, and you can take a 6-inch pregame move on all of the pregame stuff.
Oof. Oh man, that's a first turn 45 Hormagaunts in your deployment zone.
Yeah, so Hormagaunts are base movement 10. You go up to 13 with that. You're doing a 6-inch pregame move. That's a 9-inch move. One squad can auto advance a charge with Bounding Leap. One squad can go with Onslaught. They're generally outnumbering their opponents, so you're getting +1 to hit. One squad can be rerolling wounds for 1 CP. One squad can get the Swarmlord buff chucked on it for full rerolls to hit, and also double obsec, because Swarmlord doesn't just give obsec, he also doubles obsec if you already have it. And finally, you have the Warrior Synaptic Link for future turns, which is exploding 6s on an army that can have full rerolling to hit with 45 attacks from a squad of Hormagaunts.
That is actually more useful than I expected it to be.
Also, Screamer Killers go to movement 14 on the Turbicon turn with that. You would lose the +1 movement to take the pregame move because that is your adaptive trade out, but that is a very valuable trade, especially because you would know you're going set if you're going first or second at that point.
And suddenly Screamer Killers start to move quite quickly.
Really fast.
Like, given they can't breach terrain, that's actually that's fast as a War Dog essentially goes in the new Chaos Knights book.
Faster. Movement 14 is faster than movement 12
Well,
is.
same speed as a carnivore.
That's the same speed as a Carnivore, because Carnivore
He does not. There are no upgrades on any of the Hornets in this list. They are all just bare bones.
Yeah.
They are very expensive. What they are, taking upgrades on them start getting quite expensive.
Yeah. And we're just going through the top 2.
I'm a big fan of this list, which is why I wanted to shout it out. You've got options like you've got the Venomthropes, you've got the defensive options from the Zoanthropes, the Swarmlord, and the Turbicon are fairly hard to kill. The Swarmlord is especially hard to kill in melee, getting to change the first damage characteristic to 0 every turn.
Mm-hmm.
I will say there's no Tyrant Garden here, so the Swarmlord is going to be playing very safe. And Death Leaper and Parasite seems excessive to me, but Michael did very well with it, so power to him. Massive shout out.
I think the Death Leaper Death Leaper is a good inclusion into that Chaos Knights matchup in particular.
Yeah, for sure. But you're trying to drag them down with weight of damage 1 in this list rather than really trying to get them with anything else. So I'm not sure you need it. Plus, it's hard. She's hard to deliver. So, but it's good. It's good to see some out of the box turns list as we'll go into the rest of the weekend and very boring ones.
I just want to poke fun at Anthony and not go over Stephen Box's list, even though he played Blood Angels.
It's like 21 Sanguinary Guard, a 5 of Death Company with Thunderhammers, 5 Centurions, and Dante and a Sanguinary Priest and an Ancient.
Yeah, the Centurions are really the only unique take in terms of the Blood Angels list that we've been seeing since Armor of Contempt came out, and even before then. It's you bring as many Sangard as you can squeeze into the list. The Assault Centurions apparently just basically sat in cover and said, try to kill me.
Yeah, they give you that bit of zone control that can stand in the open on an objective. With player placed terrain at barrier open, you can guaranteedly have cover. Then they're sitting on a functional 0+ save and get any shooting. You've got a 6 of Feel No Pain, you bring a model back every turn with Selfless Healer. No complaints. They're a good little ground defense unit that can also threaten to pop things like Harlequin Bolts that are just stood in the open that you can't really kill otherwise, because they do get a lot of Hurricane Bolter shots.
And Flamers, because I think those ones had Flamers as well.
Yeah. Now that you can actually flame things in Harlequin's lists. Yeah. Finally, running out the top 4, we have Paul Mckelvey, who is the guy behind BCP, I believe. Running 2 squads of Crit Hounds, a commander in Cold Star, Long Strike, 3 squads of 10 Crit Carnivores, 2 big Crisis Suit squads, which I'm going to be honest are loaded out in a really weird way to me. One squad is a 5-man with 2 plasma rifles, a shield generator, and a velocity tracker on each, which is like a super budget loadout that's just running plasmas and no cyclic ion blasters, which I find unusual. And then a cyclic crisis squad with cyclic and plasma and shield generator and target lock. So again, that double upgrades. And then a crisis bodyguard squad with 2 plasma rifles and a velocity tracker each, just a 2-man. 2 stealth battlesuit teams with homing beacons, a squad of 6 Vespid, and then 2 hammerheads and 3 broadsides with rail rifles, stabilized optics, and advanced targeting systems. Again, really unusual. Not running SMSs or plasma rifles on there, going for that second signature system or second support system.
I guess they're just looking.
Making it work.
I guess they're just looking at that nerf to SMS in particular, just making it no longer effective on the
but I've generally seen people just go for plasma rifles in that situation, but you can't take plasma rifle and velocity tracker. So I'm guessing that's the trade-off he's decided. But what it does result in is he's a lot more low to the ground because he's taking 5-point upgrades instead of 10-point guns. You do like squeeze that extra squad of stealths in there. So clearly working out for him, but definitely not choices I would have made personally. Burst cannons on the hammerheads as well, as opposed to the gun drones for the jank options.
Probably the most interesting is then that first crisis suit that you mentioned. He actually has 3 upgrades and a single plasma rifle on one of the Shazwees. Counterfire,
for the
early
counterfire
warning,
defense
and
system,
velocity.
the 0 CP Overwatch. I don't know if you guys remember Buffmander from 6th and 7th edition, which is a tag commander that didn't bring a single weapon because you just stacked every single supporter system upgrade and relic on him, and then he would just stand there, go to crisis suits or broadsides and go, "You have full rerows to hit, full rerows to wound, and ignore cover, and he would give like 17 buffs to this unit, and then be stood there like, I give up my shooting, I don't have any guns."
I love it. I hate it.
So that is the Bay Area Open. I will quickly shout out the Next Generation podcast, which is going to be going live about 2 hours after we finish. They're going to be covering their experiences at the Bay Area Open. Not to spoil it, but Nick Olsen-Johnson and Tyler Bortel both came in the top 16. Both went 5-0 or 5-1. And almost made the top cut, and unfortunately didn't make it on tiebreakers. But if you want to hear about their experiences, do check out the show a couple hours after we finish, or on the YouTube feed afterwards. Okay, shilling over. Next is Rocky Top, I believe, in terms of numbers.
Yep. So we've got Rocky Top, which was Brad Chester in first place with Pure Craft Roll Eldar. Stephen Crawley in second with Tyranids, Joseph Gillespie in third place with Tyranids, Joe McMillan in fourth place with Tyranids, and then Seth Oster in fifth place with Tau.
This is why I said we weren't going to fifth. We were stopping at fourth.
And this in particular was actually why you did it, is you wanted to poke at Seth.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Seth for breaking up the top 10 with a non-Tyranids list.
And also notable, I believe this was just a straight up 8-round tournament, which is terrifying.
Yeah,
That's
no
correct.
top cut.
8 rounds, no top cut.
Congratulations to Seth, who didn't actually lose the game until day 3. That is very good going.
Right,
So,
for detailed look at our friend Brad Chester's list, we have I'm very surprised, Hail of Doom and Masterful Shots, with a Seer Council of Warlock Skyrunners with Protect and Jinx, and then a Seer Council again of Warlocks. This time, not Skyrunners with Quicken and Restrain. One Farseer Skyrunner with the Kurnos' Bow combination, so Mark of the Incomparable Hunter, Kurnos' Bow, Doom and Executioner. Farseer Skyrunner with Guide and Will of Asurian. 5-man Rangers. 5-man Banshees with Mirror Swords and Piercing Strikes on the Exarch for that extra damage and a bundle of attacks. And then a 5-man Scraping Scorpions unit with Biting Blade and Crushing Blows for the auto wounding on hits. And then there are a total of 3 units of 5-man Wind Riders with Shuriken Cannons in this list. And then we have Flappy Boy. And then this is the part where I got kind of intrigued by this list. Is there's 2 5-mans of Void Reavers in this Spearhead detachment, I believe.
yep,
Yeah.
they're just cheap OPSEC in this specific instance.
And then 2 5-man Void Scarred units, and then 3 10-man Dire Avenger units, and then another 5-man Howling Banshee unit with Mirror Swords and Nerve Shredding Shriek, and then a 5-man of Swooping Hawks to round out the list.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting going heavier on the Corsairs. One squad to get the access to the CP regeneration makes a lot of sense. The other squads seem to just be kind of there because they're cheap OBSEC. You're looking at 65 points for Rangers, but you're 50 points here. They don't take up the minimum troop slot, so running them in a Vanguard where they don't need to makes a lot of sense to me. They do have a decent amount of damage output. I think they natively get the all wound on 6s. The other stuff has to run Hail of Doom for. They just kind of have that. And they are a little bit of extra combat punch from things like the Power Swords. So yeah, they do a job. Certainly they worked for Brad here. Managed to pull off an 8-0. This faction is fairly, I wouldn't want to say solved, but the core 1,200 points of the list is fairly locked down. You're going to run, Baharoth and some Wind Riders and 20 to 30 Howling Banshees and 1 or 2 Farseers, and then whatever you do with the rest of your points is kind of, the spice is up to you. You can tech for the meta a little bit, and it's part of the reason why this faction is doing so well at the moment is that it has so many reaction options. In that, the core of the list is so cheap you can put whatever you want in the rest of it.
Yeah. I mean, also, who wants to be shooting at Void Scarred sitting on objectives when you have 30 Dire Avengers coming out to murder you, and then 15 Shuriken cannon armed jet bikes popping around corners to murder you as well with Hail of Doom on?
Absolutely nobody.
Yeah. Now, the one interesting thing on this list is that previously what we were seeing in Hail lists is the big 9-man cannon unit for the Wind Riders.
Mhm.
He's opted to forgo this and instead gone with 3 5-mans. And from talking to a couple other Craftworld players, it seems like the reason he went with that, one, it removes this big 9-man as it's really unwieldy to pilot around the tabletop. Whereas 3 5-mans is a lot more mobile, a lot more punch. It sucks less if it gets caught out, which generally doesn't happen with good Eldari players, but
No.
can still happen.
Yeah, it's a lot more possible for a 9-man to get caught out because it can't quite hide in the same crease. You can't fire and fade into quite as an easy position, that kind of thing. Whereas the 5-mans, you don't mind so much if you lose them. They're also you're paying much less a model as well with the Well, you're not paying much at the moment because you're running shuriken cannons on these ones. But if you go for the shuriken catapult loadout, you definitely save a little bit on points. The one thing I will say I'm surprised about this list is that it doesn't have a great to the last plan. To the last are just the 3 squads of Wind Riders, but that isn't super what this list is going for. This is going for kill you quick.
Yeah, I think this list is really just about if I can put out 200 to 300 shuriken cannon shots, well, shuriken shots generally speaking, will there be anything alive to hold objectives?
Probably
And if there's nothing to hold objectives on your side of the table, then I win.
So then we come on to the Tyranid section of this review. We have Stephen Crawley, who has a Leviathan spam warriors list with double Hive Tyranid, double Harpy.
There's a lot of harpies at this event, actually, which kind of intrigued me. Like, I wasn't expecting to see this many harpies, especially with like knights in the world now. But
no, harpies are still good. We have Joseph Gillespie with 2 big bricks of warriors and stuff, double Maliceptor. And 2
I think there's also 2 harpies in that list.
Is there? I didn't see those.
Oh, maybe not this one.
No, this one doesn't have harpies. This one's got a Screamer Killer and double Maliceptor.
Okay.
And then we have Joe McMillan playing Leviathan with no big squads of warriors, just 2 3-mans. And this list has double Harpy and Carnifexes. And I play this army.
I know you said you wanted to stop at 4, but I do want to talk about Seth's list because it's actually a very interesting topic.
Yeah, that's fine. You could talk about it just because I like the Craftworld choice or the Sept choice.
The Sept choice. All right, so we'll start up by the Sept choice. His Sept choice is a custom set blocking tactics and play their part. Innes, do you know what this does?
He went to sleep. I know what it does.
You know what it does because you've been in the discussions with him.
Well, because I also played
how
against
this came
it.
about. Yeah. So blocking tactics and play their part is actually quite fun. It basically gives you that your crisis suits count as 3 models, and you count as having objective secured when you make a charge move until your next charge phase.
Yeah, only for core that is though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which, I mean, when you run what he ran, which was 18 crisis suits, that's most of your army. And
if you're already core opposite, you get +1 model as well, right? So
Correct.
If you've got that Enforcer commander in there, which I don't remember if he runs, he doesn't.
No,
but if you run an
runs
Enforcer
double
commander,
crisis.
you can buff them up to double. You can buff them up to 4 model opposite, which is funny as hell. Yeah, this is a tile list that charges you. It's really cool, genuinely.
Yeah. It's a tile list that will shoot at you, fire and fade towards you, and then charge you because their fire and fade doesn't have any restrictions about charging.
Because you just didn't think you'd do that.
No, they really didn't. And then you go Kayun, and you can fall back and charge across the entire army from turn 3 on, or fall back and shoot across the entire army.
And then the 2 crisis in commanders in crisis battle, so both can hand out fall back and charge as well. So there is 2 sources of that. It's pretty good. Big fan. Well done, Seth. Power to you.
Yeah.
I was saying this in the Best in Faction Discord a couple of days ago. It turns out when you or in maybe it was another Discord. When you stop playing random garbage factions and you're a really good player, you do a lot better. So yeah, well done, Seth, on overcoming your orc addiction.
In case anybody wanted to know, that faction that Innes is talking about is orcs. Orcs is the garbage faction.
I called them random garbage faction, which I don't think even orc players would dispute.
They are pretty random. It's true.
You're just playing the slot machines, and it turns out if you're good at card games, don't play the slot machines.
Also true. What's our 3rd biggest event of the weekend then?
The 3rd biggest event is the one that I was at. It's the Goonhammer Open.
Okay, so we're going to skip this one.
Yeah, we are. That's fine. I don't care about it either.
We can talk about, we'll go through the top 4 real quick. So we have Manny Chima in first place with Pure Craft Worlds. We have David Gaylard in second place with Tyranids. Then we have Ben Allen in 4th place with Harlequins and Kyle Grundy in 5th place with Tau and nobody else.
Yeah, some nobody finished 3rd.
Yeah, some nobody
that
named
is accurate,
Innes Wilson placed 3rd place with Tyranids. Innes, why don't you go through this event? Unless, Jeremy, you want to actually read something, you can also read something if you want.
Oh, Manny Chima was playing Hail of Doom and Masterful Shots. Anyone want to take a guess as to what the rest of the list had?
2 of the top 3 and none of them won by Tyranids? Tyranids must be balanced.
He said in slower speak that Tyranids are balanced because they only won no event. They didn't win any of these events.
They didn't win any of these 3 events.
Exactly.
So
Wow.
Tyranids
But
are
they
balanced.
just happen to make up about, what, 60%, 70% of the top 10s at these events?
Something like that.
That's not the stat I'm measuring.
Tyranids are fair and balanced because they didn't win all of the majors this weekend.
All right.
Read more
So-
about it tomorrow.
What did Manny Chima run? So he had a Seer Council with 2 Warlock Skyrunner, a unit of 1 with 2 Warlock Skyrunners to protect Jinx, and the Seer Council, 2 Fire Seer Skyrunners, a unit of Rangers, 10 Dire Avengers, 10 Dire Avengers, 2 Vipers, a Wave Serpent, and then Baharoth, unit of 7 Dire Avengers, 5 Howling Banshees, 3 Shining Spears, and then a 10-man Swooping Hawk unit, a 9-man Swooping Hawk unit, and then 3 6-man Wind Rider units, but with shuriken catapults instead of cannons.
What did
Yep.
Spammy Chima run? Spammy Chima
That, we just
spam
read it. Come on,
shurikens.
guys. Yeah, so this list runs heavier on the mortal wound combat output. You've got the Crone Scream Howling Banshee, who does mortal wounds of the charge. You've got the Shining Spears, who do mortal wounds of the charge. You've got access to Halo Tune. You've got the Mark of the Carpal Hunter, Karnos' Bowgood, who really, really needs to die because it's breaking through on a stick. And then you've got 27 Dire Avengers. The squad of 7 gets stand firm, so you don't feel too bad about throwing on an objective and it dying. But it can also do things like plant bombs and tear down their icons automatically and still shoot. And then it has an amazing to the last one in the form of Baharoth and 19 Swooping Hawks that just don't die. Manny dropped a grand total of 15 VP over 6 games.
He did real good. This list.
Yeah, I think most of them were in one game.
Most of his points were in one. Oh, he did drop most of his points.
Yeah, he dropped 7 points in his 6th
He
game.
dropped 7
Yeah.
points in his last game, and that was half of the points he dropped.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Hail.
Hail of Doom.
All right, then in second place we have
second
David
place.
Gaylord with Warrior Spam and 4 Pyrovores and only 1 Hive Tyrant. But
Double Harpy.
And
This is real good. It's just data sheets. It just data sheets.
Yeah, it's stat checks you.
It's just data sheets, bro.
All right, Innes, what did you run?
I ran just data sheets, bro, but also some janky shit because it's my team's list. I had double tyrant Leviathan with no harpies because I love harpies, but I had to try and play without them. So we got Neurothrop, Hive Tyrant, 2 squads of warriors, big 5-man Bricket Tyrant Guard to be my to the last, 3 Zoanthropes, Parasite and Mortrix with the spawning Ripper stuff and the Obsec stuff just to be fast and janky. A Maleceptor, 2 Carnifexes with Crushing Claws and Venom Cannons because Venom Cannons are insane. And a Tyrannocyte with all the goodness. It can be a little drop pod, make your opponent freak out. We have a Hive Tyrant on foot with the reroll claws and a Venom Cannon. 2 squads of 3 Pyrovores, 10 Gargoyles, and 2 Biovores. So take David's list with all the stat check stuff and then trim like all the stat check stuff and add in janky bullshit. And that's what you got from my list. And it's great. It was really good into everything except that, which is what I lost to. It turns out when your opponent's using the same data sheets as you, but they have more of them, and you spent 4 extra CP than he did pre-game,
Then you have a bad day.
It's kind of rough. But my final and fifth and sixth game for that are both on YouTube. You can find them at Hellstorm Wargaming. You can find my round 5 against Dan's Harlequins and my round 6 against David, where I get soundly tabled on turn 4.
Oofda,
Good fun.
as they would say in the northern Midwest.
But yeah, so I finished third of that one with a loss in the last round, which seems to be the only round I'm capable of losing anymore, which I'll take as a nice thing.
Right.
In fourth place, we have Ben Allen, who was actually my round 4 opponent, and a really, really solid guy, who was playing 9 boats full of Harlequins.
Seems legit.
Yeah,
9 boats full of
that's it.
Harlequins.
I think 8 of them had fusion pistols and neurodisruptors. One of them was bare bones. 2 troop masters, a death, and then a shadow seer, and that was it.
See, really what that tells me is that Harlequins have gone all the way full circle back to their roots in late
Yeah,
age, where they were just running boats.
It's like, all right, we swapped 2 of the fusion pistols for 2 neurodisruptors. It's a new list, right?
I was like, man, this looks really familiar. Am I looking at a tournament that happened 8 months ago?
Yeah, it's a lot, but I did get to do the really cool thing where a Maleceptor killed a boat and its squad of contents in 2 casts. So
I love that. That
Oh,
makes
that's
me really
beautiful.
happy inside.
it's like, yeah, this is fair. I think this is an average thing that you should be able to do.
It's funny because Innes, I think I'm actually bringing basically your list to the Best in Tabletop Open. In a
Hell
couple
yeah,
weeks.
I'm so proud of you.
I know. I want to play the janky bullshit with dropping a Tyrannicide out of the sky and making somebody real sad.
Oh, mate, nobody knows how to play against it with 6 Firewars inside it. It's great.
I know. I'm going to chat with you afterwards because I don't want to. I don't want to
That's
chat
fine.
anymore about it on
That's
the channel.
fine. You should watch my stream games.
I'm going
It does
to.
really well in the first game.
And then
Okay.
what's our next event? I think we
next
have.
event would be GT Andorra, which was a 5-round, 76-player event.
Hell yeah. Go on, Andorra. Andorra, for those of you who don't know, there's a really, really good sketch on this one. I think it's an Onion video about the US accidentally sending aid to Andorra because they just assume that it's some like middle of nowhere country. It's in Western Europe. It's like
right
in between Spain and France. But it's great because you've never heard of Andorra. I know you haven't. You on the internet, you've never heard of Andorra. You thought it was Angola for just a second ago.
Let me guess. It's one of those lovely little tax haven enclaves.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Okay.
So you should go watch the video because it's really funny and it's about it's about like, yeah, no, we got all this money. We just assumed it was a gift. We have built a golden statue to our mayor out of it. That kind of thing. So
One of these people's names is trademarked. I just want to put the aside here in the placings. It says OUXTM with the trademark symbol next to it. We're only going to go through the number 1 lists at this point because otherwise we're never going to get through these. But just in quick succession, in first place, it's Manel Tula with Eldari, Roger Boyra in second place with Tau, Paco Chamorro in third with Tyranids, OUX trademark with Imperial Knights in 4. Ooh,
trademark.
And then Alejandro Lopez in 5th with Blood Angels. So another Blood Angels list doing well. But we're just going to go over Manel Tula's list real fast.
I want to trademark my name now.
You can just do it in BCP
Innes,
and
trademark.
not even in his trademark, and nobody will second guess it.
They should definitely. They should.
For this Eldari list, we have Hail of Doom and Masterful Shots. Let me just scroll down real quick to make this is not an Eldari list; it's an Asuryani list. All right, so it's a Craft World Eldar list with Hail of Doom and Masterful Shots again. Seer Council with Warlocks, a Farseer, just a regular Footseer this time. Karandris, 1 unit of 10 Dire Avengers, a unit of 5 Striking Scorpions with a Biting Blade and Deadly Ambush, which I believe is the one that gives him a bonus in cover. 10 mana Swooping Hawks with the Phoenix Plume, which gives him the 5 of Feel No Pain. 2 Vipers, a 9-man of Wind Riders, which we mentioned it briefly before, with Shuriken Cannons, 2x3 Wind Riders. Yeah, then it's 2 3-mans with Catapults.
Yeah, 2 3-mans as well. Jeez, I can't read. Then
we got Flappy Boy, which is Baharoth, the Seer Council, Skyrunners unit this time, a Farseer Skyrunner who goes pew 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 with Kronos' bow, a 10-man Defender unit, a 10-man Dire Avenger unit, a 5-man Howling Banshee squad this time with Mirror Swords and Piercing Strikes again for that fancy damage too on like 10 attacks.
And Clone Stream for the Mortals.
Yep, and then Shining Spears and a Lone Warwalker with Shuriken Cannons, the loneliest. 1 is the loneliest number.
Yeah, Warwalkers are solid advanced deploy options that have Shuriken weapons. They're not bad in Hail of Doom.
It's just 1 though. It's just 1 Warwalker.
Yeah, it's 65 points, man. You never paid 65 points for advanced deploy before?
Not for a single Warwalker, I haven't, no.
Okay. Just super quickly, Roger is on Tau Empire with Shadow Sun and 3 big blocks of Crisis Suits. Paco is on Tyranids. It's Oops Leviathan. Warriors.
What's Ooh playing?
Trademark is playing a copyright list that I'm unfortunately not at liberty to discuss until 110 years after his death. Is House Tyrannus. We have a Crusader, an Errant, 5 Warglaves, and a Helverin.
Fancy.
Keep it simple. Keep it safe.
What's our next event?
Our next event would be not on BCP because I actually forgot about this event entirely. Is the Renegades 40K Open Echoes of War?
What's on Keeper or T3?
Down under pairings.
That's not real.
Boy! Well, our Aussies will be happy that we remembered to pull it this time because usually they get mad and send us messages.
This is on Jeremy. I'm not looking at this.
What is it? Where is it being played? Where it's using down under pairings, but not?
I'll give Innes the check on this one.
No,
it's in the UK.
What?
And I will say this: I wondered the same question. Why are you using Down Under Pangs? Because BCP sucks, is what they said. It's broken.
I mean, they're not wrong. DUP is way better for team events as well.
Aren't BCP and DUP just run by the same group?
They
now?
are functionally the
merge.
same organization now. Yes.
Okay.
So, anyways, I will quickly go through the top 3 because it's painful to navigate lists in this.
Fair enough.
First place was Jim Wakefield with Harlequins. Second place was Ben Harris with Orcs. And third place was Craig Breslin with Tyranids. And the first place Harlequin's list was basically 7 boats and 4 Void Weavers.
Okay. So 3 months ago.
Yeah, but playing dark, not light.
Ooh, fancy.
Right.
And then, the other lists are... Orcs is kind of interesting because it's snake bites.
It's interesting for orcs, for one, and then interesting for 2 for snake bites.
Yeah. But it's basically 2 patrols that are almost identical with Gretchen, a big unit of knobs, a Dakajetta truck, some, which are truck boys, the knobs,
Mm-hmm.
and then a Mozark Scragbad, the named war boss, if I remember
Not bad.
correctly.
Yep.
And then a beast boss on Squigosaur. And this list feels like it's missing stuff, but I have a feeling it's just because orcs are more
Orcs are
expensive than I
pointed
remember.
ridiculously, yeah.
Some stuff that's 300 points that maybe should be only 200 points is in there.
Yeah, and then 10 Squig Hog Boys.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the third place person running, just out of curiosity?
It's Tyranids, it's Warriors.
Okay.
Tyranids.
What's our next event, Jeremy? Because you just got this up and ready, and I love it.
Next event would be the Midwest Conquest GT, 55 players.
Do we miss
Midwest?
Storm of Silence?
We just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh yeah, I
That
did.
was a major,
If we're
wasn't
going, if we're going by order, then yes, we are. We did miss Storm of Silence.
Oh, fine. Let's go back to Storm of
Tyranids
Silence.
for top 3. It's fine.
All right.
Yeah,
They had names, I think.
It's
but-
Kraken, Kronos, and I'm opening it. Kraken, Kronos, and Kraken. So it was Matt Evans in first place with a high fleet Kraken list, Josh Bagwell in second place with a high fleet Kronos list, and then Vincent Weibart in third place with a high fleet Kraken list, and then a Custodes person in fourth place, Marshall Reeves, and then a Pure Craft World list in fifth place with Zach Kerstetter playing
And it's
that
not
one.
a Pure Craft Worlds list, by the way.
Matt had a Tyrannosaurus and 6 Powervores. I want that on fucking record.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's an
Pyro
Eldari
pod.
list.
Pyro
and
pod.
You're on notice now. It's a Hail of Doom Masterful Shots Dark
So
list.
I actually rescind your placement. You actually lose it, Zach Kerstetter. You no longer got fifth place. You are actually in last place. Congratulations.
But it's also Yanni when you make the army, right? Because it's all traveling players.
Sure.
Someone is going to be Anthony.
Someone's got to be Anthony and be the major Debbie Downer for me. That's what it is.
Okay, so next we had the Midwest Conquest.
Oh god, now I got to open that back up again. God dang it, Innes. All right,
Midwest
so-
Conquest. This is from like where you are, right?
where is Midwest Conquest taking place?
Missouri.
In Missouri? Yeah, I guess it's near me. Sure, I guess from the relative placement of geography, it's
Okay.
close.
This was won by Jacob Martin on Lots of Monsters Leviathan. There's a Turbicon here, there's a Winged Hive Tyrant, there's a Neurthrope, Gargoyles, Warriors, a 30-man squad of Termagants, power to you, and then 3 Carnifexes with Venom Cannons and Crushing Claws and a Harpy. This is like somebody took all my favorite units.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. Power to them. Calvin Smith came in second with Tyranids. This is
By 1 battle point.
by 1 battle point. Hell yeah. This is another Tarvagon list. I'm confused by the propensity of Tarvagons, but I have just ordered one. Don't ask me why. I'm not bandwagoning. It seems
I
alright.
also have one assembled and like ready to paint. I just haven't gotten around to painting it, and like 45 gone.
I looked at it, I was
that need
like,
to be
I should
painted.
try this. This is probably not going to get nerfed when they change this army, so it's probably too late now for them to
Probably like
to
the
nerf this.
one thing in the book that might be appropriately costed.
Yeah. This is a Raveners and list. It's running a Spore Assist.
How many events do we have left, Jeremy?
We have another 5, I think.
God Damn it.
Batman
gonna have
Hunter
to-
on Space Wolves. He has Wolfguard and Wolfen and.
Yeah, most
Brett
of
Perkins on
Justice
G
Guard is 15
Circle.
Wolfen.
Hell yeah, go on, Brett. This is Pauper Princes. There's so many neophytes. This is 100 neophytes. 100 neophytes and 3 Achilles. This is what we're reduced to G Circle players. There's also
This is-
10 man of aberrants here. It's all my least favorite things in the G Circle Codex.
Also, in
There's
this, by the way,
clam of us.
Alex Taus in chat has trademarked Pyro Bahad ahead
Oh,
of
that's
you.
unfortunate because I have fair use rights on that. So there's a Clamavus with a Precious Bane here. I don't know what a Clamavus does. I think he's morale immunity.
That
sounds
sounds
right.
accurate.
That sounds right. I'm going to go with that. He has a loudspeaker, so everybody's too busy listening to dubstep to run away.
They're just waiting for the base to drop in us.
When will the bass drop? That's another good skit. There's only 3 more to talk about, right? Because
No,
we stop at 28 because we're
Oh,
reasonable.
we're going to stop at 28.
If we stop at 28, there are 3 more to talk about.
So there's 3 more to talk about.
What's our next event? Jared,
Fourth Valley
Attention des
GT.
Ducs.
you both
What?
said different things.
I'm going down in terms of player numbers. So
Me too.
Fourth Valley GT is what you said?
Have I missed one?
yeah, there was one on T3.
Oh, yeah, nobody's ever checked T3. Go for it. You have T3 open.
Yeah, trust me, I check T3 every week ever since I got yelled at one week for missing a Polish event. So yeah, this one was registered on T3 and run through mini headquarters, which I have never tried to pull from before, and it was actually fairly easy.
Do you check Tabletop TO every week as well?
It's very
other
rare
week.
that events are actually run on it.
Yeah, it's like pun. I check it like once every 2-3 weeks,
You check it when Dick speaks about it in the Discord.
pretty much.
Basically.
So I'm not going to really bother going through names here because these are all people who just have their registration names, which are like online usernames. So in first place,
use them actually, please do.
Okay, definitely.
all right. First, in first place, we had Paxki, who played Craft Worlds.
Mhm.
In second place, we had Aiko, who played Tyranids, and in third place, we had Noya, who played Harlequins.
Okay.
Fourth place was Bjorn with Tyranids, and fifth place was Zamal with Tau.
Nice.
Paxi's was pretty much a standard, if I remember correctly. No, it was a Beal Tan list.
Oh.
Beal Town better than Ulthway confirmed.
Because it can actually win a GT. Oof, I know.
Oof way.
Oof way. Yeah, oof way. Thank you. I like that. That's good.
Billy
Ah.
Tanner is the best sub-faction, and I will not be
I'm not going to go through the other list because half of them are in French and they give me headaches. I could do this on the weekend when I was less tired.
You guys
Let's
free to
just
go.
we can just skip to the next event then. We're just gonna skip over you, French event.
Yeah. So the next
Sorry,
one
French
is
event.
the Fourth
Try
Valley
being
GT.
in-
That
we'll try harder next time. Okay, Fourth Valley GT. I'll shout this one out pro special because this was in Scotland. Power to them. I'm glad that Scottish events are happening. First place was Ryan Kerr with Leviathan Tyranids. There's 2 harpies here. Yay, go Ryan. He's running Old One Eye. Good for him.
Ooh, fancy.
In second place, we have Connor Leach with Tyranids. He's playing Leviathan Double Harpy.
Who's in third place?
My teammate, Matty Gibson with Chaos Knights.
Carnivores
running.
or
He is running a Desecrator with Infernal Quest, the Diamonis, Knight Diabolus, and Blessing of the Dark Master as House Herpetrax. And then 8 War Dog Stalkers with the feckin' Melta, and then 2 Helverins.
Jesus.
Now, for context,
what's the name of that Melta again? What was it? The
Demon
fecking
Breath
Melta?
Spear?
I prefer the fecking Melta personally.
Hey, feckin' Meltas. Yeah. So what I know from context is we saw Chaos Knights this week, and we're like, we can't run that. What can we run for Chaos Knights? And then we went up to my friend that played Imperial Knights last edition and was like, do you have 8 Armigers I can borrow? He was like, yeah, but they're all older. He's like, yeah, I'll make it work. And then he did.
Nice.
Nice.
So well done, Matty. Thank you very much. And 100 summoning points because the summoning points are really good in Chaos Knights.
Another, Jeremy. Another.
And then in last place we have Gary Duffy with I've
Last.
Leviathan Double Harpy. This one's got double Hive Tyrant though.
So what I'm hearing is there was one unique person. There was one shepherd and 3 sheep because they followed in the same flock.
Well, all I'm gonna say is Ryan and Connor sure weren't playing Tyranids when I came first at the last GT they were both at.
They're following the shepherd. They are sheep. It's true.
Sorry,
what I expect
I'm
out of
blazing the
Scotland.
trail by cutting my harpies. That's what I'm doing. Okay, what is up next?
Up next would be the Powerfists and Psychers, number 11.
This one was an
Iron
Man, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I thought these were made illegal after Art of War did the things.
It's the back-to-back events that are illegal.
Oh,
You've won and you're okay.
I actually think Curie is the one who should talk about this event for a variety of reasons.
So this was an event in my backwater up in Ottawa, Canada. So first place in that event was Will Paul with Tyranids. Will Paul ran Leviathan good stuff, Warrior Spam, and Double Harpy. We had François Lalonde, who ran Eldari, and he, of course, missed. He doesn't count anymore because he actually ran Asriani. He is Craftworld's Hail of Doom, Masterful Shots, the usual. And then there's me, Dark Angels, Space Marines, according to Innes.
What kind of Dark Angels did you run, though?
I ran Ravenwing. Nothing but bikes and speeders.
I love it. How many speeders, how many bikes, and what kind of speeders and bikes?
I may as well just open up the list.
It's a Talamaster, a Ravenwing Apothecary, 3 bike squads with the Lightning Claw and 2 of the Sergeants. We have a Hand Speeder with Multi-Melta. Love it. My favorite tech from my old Iron Hands days. 2 Storm Speeder Hammer Strikes, which nobody knows what they do, including Curie. Samuel. 9 Multi-Melta attack bikes and 3 Land Speeder Vengeances.
I love it. I love everything about this just because it's floaty, deadly, fast stuff.
I love everything about it except the fact that those 2 Hammer Strikes could be 4 more regular Land Speeders.
They could be. But I really like the Hammer Strikes because it's a whole lot of flat 3 damage.
No, you simp.
Just for you, I will run an event where I take like 5 of the regular Land Speeders.
Just swap them all out for Land Speeder Storms.
Can you put in the actual in the list title just for Innes?
When I do that, I will. I've got a few more events coming up lately. But yeah, no, this is an iteration of a list from 2 weeks ago at Le Grand Clash GT, where I basically just dropped. I had Typhoons, and I dropped the Typhoons out.
Yeah, we spoke about that at the time.
Yeah, because they were complete
garbage.
Yeah, they are garbage. I realized afterwards that when you compare it to the Land Speeder with a Multi-Melta, you pay 50 points for a Cyclone Missile Launcher.
A true mistake, but that's
invaluable.
It's real bad.
And then in 4th place, we had a Tau Sept Crisis Bomb list with Shadow Sun.
Yep, and Long Strike. And of
Power
course,
to people grinding their way through Iron Mans. Like I feel like I would have had that energy in me a while back, but I don't know. I don't know
was
if I
that
get
4 or
there
5 GTs ago, Innes? 4 or 5 GTs
yeah,
ago?
exactly. Somewhere around like the 8th weekend of 40k in a row that I've been doing, I'm like, I don't really feel like doing an Iron Man this weekend.
I will say the most impressive part about the event is that we did not have a single player drop.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Canada.
Every
awesome.
single player who started the event finished the event.
Is it because it was a 6-hour drive to get home?
I might as well stay till morning.
And everybody just stayed because of it.
It was all locals. There was actually no, that's a lie. There were 2 people who came in from out of town.
Well, that's
Fair
really
enough.
cool.
But
Love it.
Run more Iron Mans. Iron Mans are cool. I would love to do back-to-back Iron Mans, honestly.
And Alex Taus does bring up a good point. I cannot take any Land Speeder Storms
that's
because
so
I have no
sad.
infantry.
That's so depressing. I'm hurt.
So are we finally done with events for the week?
No, we have one more.
Event. Although, if you want, we could not cover it because they only actually had 27 players.
Let's skip
Well,
it.
Galaxy and Grasp.
We're done. It doesn't
Galaxy
have
and
28
Grasp only
players.
had 26 players.
Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, we're done.
We're done. No more 28 player events. We're done for the week.
Okay. We are going to not do meta discussion this week, partly because Anthony's not here and partly because that was a marathon of events. That was too many events. We're going to figure out a way to do this event coveragey stuff that's better than what we're doing now. And if you have any ideas for that, chuck them in the comments because we'd love to hear them because we enjoy doing this content, but also this content's a lot of work and I'm not sure how much it is preferred to doing like the meta discussion talk and the stats talk. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, please do drop them in the comments. What we are going to do just now is we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back for the bonus round. So I am going to do the wrap-up now. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us on very, very short notice. And thank you, Nathan, for being with us as always. We wish you well, Anthony. We hope you're having a great time out there, catching up on some R&R and doing some stuff with your family, I think it was. Not important. Hope you're having a great week, and we'll see you back next week. I have been Innes. This is 40k Fight Club. This was episode 16. 1 out of 1 Doctors Recommend Sisters. You can find us everywhere good podcasts are found. If you would like to hear more of us, you can check us out a few places. The first of all is youtube.com/c/bestintabletop. That is where you can find all of our options like membership or viewing back episodes, all that cool stuff. If you don't want to pay for the YouTube membership option, which you can't right now, we'd recommend checking out the live stream. That is live at YouTube. That's the same YouTube URL. We should hopefully be putting up shows in advance. We don't always remember to do that. It's a lot of work to click a couple buttons for Anthony, unfortunately. But we'll be live 11 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Pacific, and 5 p.m. At
Central.
Nathan's time.
Yeah,
5 p.m. Nathan's time, 6 p.m. Anthony's time, which is East Coast EST.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. Yeah, cool. I know time zones. If you'd like to support the show more directly, you can check out patreon.com/bestintabletop, which will get you access to the Discord, where you can do such wonderful things as get press ganged into podcasts like Jeremy, Curie, and I did. But all I'm saying, we have a 100% success rate between the three of us of getting press ganged into doing podcasts purely as a result of being in that Discord. So,
it's true. Yeah, if you want to be a content creator and you haven't created any content yet, join the Discord, and eventually you will probably be a content creator.
Much higher rate in that than there is anywhere else. Other than that, thank you everybody for joining us. If you are sticking around for the live stream, do not feel the need to leave, but do go and grab a drink of water, take a break. We'll be back. You'll not miss much. And if anything good happens, apparently Tyler just clips it anyway. So thanks everybody, and we'll be back shortly.
Bye-bye.